Hey there everyone, this is Ray Carcillo from Classic Game Room, and today we're looking at Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage, for the Xbox 360 from KOEI. Now, I fashion myself as a pretty big comic book geek as well as a video game one, but I admit that I have never heard of the manga this is based off of. Maybe because half of its original run was before I was born, I don't know. The game does a really good job of explaining what's going on though, even if done in an over-stylized look with a lot of over-the-top voice acting. It makes you think for a split second that you're playing another Dynasty Warriors game or something. And trust me, there are a few parallels you can draw between the two, like the hordes of enemies you'll have to fight. But instead of using weapons, you'll use some mystical and deadly martial arts based on attacking a foe's pressure points. Anyway, the basic story is you're in a futuristic world ravaged by nuclear war. You play as Ken, short for Kenshiro, as he wanders around the desert, looking to use the amazing martial arts and powers he's inherited to help the remaining people of Japan who have survived the war.
You are already dead.
Ken has made many enemies over the years though, including a man named Shin who fell in love with Ken's girlfriend and kidnapped her and scarred Ken with 7 burn marks on his chest that matched the Ursa Major constellation. The stars in the constellation are of great importance to the game, as many of the major characters' martial arts are based on a representation of what each star means. Ken follows the North Star with his martial arts, his ancient art of assassination that destroys people from the inside, literally. When Ken hits key pressure points, his opponents explode in a fantastically gory fashion. Others, like Ray, practice a Nanto type of arts that focus on destroying enemies from the outside with swift punches and kicks. Clearly very different ways of going about things. As you progress through the game, taking out various warlords who have claimed the remaining fertile land for themselves, or protecting the good people who have been fortunate enough to stake a claim to these lands from these warlords, Ken will learn more in-depth maneuvers in his martial arts, as well as be given the opportunity to boost his strength, defense, and health. This RPG element to the game gives you a reason to keep pushing through the repetitive beat-em-up gameplay, as the cutscenes used to destroy your enemies when powered up are truly a beautiful sight if you can get past the bright lights and bad voice acting. The shock and fear in an enemy's face as they realize their blood is starting to boil, and they will explode in a hail of blood and bone on their comrades should satiate even the most hardcore of gamers' bloodlust, and for that alone this game might be worth a look at. Of course, most of the game is just you mixing and matching heavy and light attacks, as you punch and kick your way through the post-apocalyptic Japan you find yourself in. Since button mashing won't do it for most people, even with all those blood and guts, there are several modes that go beyond the legend mode that follows the original manga. As you progress, you unlock a dream mode that follows an original story for these characters, as well as a challenge mode that basically works like your standard survival mode. To help fill you in on the story for those unfamiliar to the manga, there's also a gallery mode that gives you a more detailed look at each character as you come across them in the story, and is very helpful if you're into story-driven games like myself. You can also play as different characters later on in your adventure, but the game has no multiplayer to speak of. Although I really can't see how you would fit another person in anyway due to the tight third-person camera perspective the game features. If you're a fan of beat-em-ups and enjoy a story that sounds a little bit like Double Dragon or Ninja Gaiden, but plays like Dynasty Warriors, then I'd say pick this up as a rental. But the repetitive, linear gameplay couldn't keep me around long enough to recommend a full-blown purchase.